Hello and welcome to Cute Pixel. Today I'm continuing my Twitch Craps Table open source project. Give me 1 second to switch over to that here. This is my stream schedule for a couple of my upcoming streams. Today, right now, I'm working on open source software development, specifically my Twitch Craps Table chatbot. I was playing with that a little bit in chat before, or as the stream was getting started, so you can see some of that if you're hanging out there. My next stream after today will be on Tuesday, February 26th at 2 p.m. Note that my time zone is United States Pacific Time, UTC-8, so adjust your local time zone appropriately. And my next stream after that will be 1 week from today, Sunday, March 3rd, starting at 9 a.m. That out of the way, let's go take a look at what I did last time. This is a continuation of work I've been doing for the last several streams. So first I did a brief refactoring. I refactored the data structures for cumbets into a sparse array. What I was doing beforehand was a series of member variables, I think 7 of them, 1 for the main cumbet, and then 6 for all the cumbet points. And I refactored that into a sparse array, so index 0 for the main, indexes 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 for the points, and that simplified the code quite a bit. I also added support for the don't cumbet, and I used the same structure I refactored up here, so it helped kind of support that. So up next, I have more bets I want to add here. We don't have odds for the cumbet and the don't cum odds yet, and so I think those are next. Then probably place. And I'm not sure after place, because all the rest of these are kind of worse bets. What I kind of want to do is look up the Craps guide. I have a link to that from my player guide. You have a Craps Basics link here. I just want to look up the different bets here. So we've got pass, odds, don't pass, laying the odds is for the don't pass, come, don't come, place, place to lose. As a place to lose bets are found only in Australia, England, and some internet casinos. The odds are paid as follows. Okay, well it seems simple enough to add, so I will probably go ahead and add that. So let's just make a note of that. We've got place, then we've got place to lose. I'm not sure what abbreviation I will use for that. I'll think about that. Buy. These bets are like odds or place bets except with different odds. The concept is that they pay fair odds like odds bets, except you have to pay a 5% commission to make the bet based on the bet amount. This commission usually is non-refundable. However, in some casinos, the commission on the 410 is charged only on a win. Phone tables for the house edge, both with the commission always payable and after a win. Lay bets are like laying the odds, place to lose. Let's see. Well, we'll add the buy. I think the buy is going to be a useful one. So we have buy and lay Seems similar to the buy, kind of the opposite of the buy. Pay for odds, like odds bet, except you have to pay a 5% commission to make the bet based on the bet amount. We'll take a look at that when we get there. So we've got buy, lay, I think I've added, yep. Big 6 and 8. Yeah, big 6 and 8, they're pretty bad bets, but I have them on my list, so I will go ahead and move them up here. I'll just go through the order that they have in the guide here. Hard ways. They really don't like the field, apparently. Put bets. The player may skip the come out roll on a pass or comes such a late bet on the pass. It comes known as a put bet. Hello, Arnie Elf. Let's see. I forgot how to pronounce it. I think Arnulfo and SteveWood1990. Welcome back to the stream. And apologies if I got your name wrong there. It's been a little while since I've seen you, but welcome back. Just continuing my work on my Twitch Craps bot and looking through various bets to make here. Apologies if I'm running a little slow today. I did not get enough sleep last night, so it's just running a little slow today. So yeah, so the put bets, I think that's just a late come bet, or sorry, a late pass line bet. So it's not something specifically I need to add. So I'm not gonna add put bets specifically because they already exist. Trading bets on and off. I think I've talked about that. Yeah. So I have that on my list. Summary of multi-roll bets. Here we have proposition bets. These either win or lose on the next throw. What do I have here? Hey, we've got propositions, so I'll move that up. There's the field. So they don't talk about some of these other bets. There's the fire bets, the bottom, top, all points bets. There's hopping bets. Let me see if the proposition section talks about this. The 212 on all hard hop bets. Easy hop bets. So I might just review what those are, use another website to talk about those. But I think we have a pretty good list of all of the bets here at this point. And I think next on the list is to add the come odds. It's kind of the next I would like to add here. So let's go clear out the completed list and start working on come odds. Let's go fire up the code and take a look. Actually, one thing I wanted to change here is I did change the configuration rolling delay in my local installation to 60. I found that 60 seconds is a better delay than 30. 30 was just a little too fast for my tastes. So let's go update the template and increase the default rolling delay to 60 again. Increase the default rolling, I can't type today, delay to 60. And this window here is the bot is running right now, so if you do want to play with it for a bit while I am working on other stuff, you're welcome to do so. If you don't know how to play Craps, we do have our player guide. Type in Craps Help to get that guide here. Alright, so we've just adjusted our default rolling delay. Let's go ahead and commit that. Increase the default rolling delay to 60.
Remember all the happy times we had?
Oops. Helps if I add it first. Yeah, moving on to remaining Craps bets. Let's look at the come odds. So let's bring up the code and see what that looks like. So we have, oops, wrong file. Let's go to the Craps table. We have a series of maps for the different different bets you can make. These basically map player names, players to the bets they've made. We have pass odds, don't pass odds, come and don't come. And so in this case, I'm just going to add in come. I'll say come odds bets. And some of the come bets we're going to do in array.
All right.
And then to initialize these, we will need to do this initialization here. Yeah, so here we're initializing all of the come bets. We do indexes 0, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. And so we could say if I is not equal to 0, then this dot come odds bets sub I is equal to new map. So the odds, we don't need to have odds for the base bets. Because odds only apply once you have a point. So that's why we can drop the index at 0. Well, let's just continue to go through and see what else we got here. This is because I'm just going to look at other loops through all of the different come bets here, with the exception of the ones I'm not prepared to write yet. Yeah, get available balances. I think this is a pretty good one here. So we could say well, I've got the same thing here. So we could say, if I is not equal to 0. Come on. Then we're going to do something very similar. And this is going to be too long. Pretty sure. Well, we'll see. Let's see if we can do this here. Let's just yoink this for the moment. So if that and this is true, and this is going to be the come odds bets. Yeah, it's just too lengthy. trying to get a little too fancy. So I think what we'll do instead, let's drop this down, make this a compound statement. Then if. But even this is pretty tight. In fact, by the time we add in the don't come odds, this won't fit any longer, because that'll look like this and this. We'll see what that looks like when we get there. Right now we're just adding in the come odds, and we'll worry about don't come next. So continue to look on down. So we've addressed available balances, check minimum balances, odds multiplayer. I think we can ignore that for the moment. None of the stuff changes. Process combat point. We'll have to think about that. We'll ignore that for the moment, but then we'll get back to this and see what that looks like. Process combats. This probably is where we're gonna have to address it, but again, we'll see. Process roll. And I think this is fine, but there is going to be a section towards the end where we check bets exist, so we'll need to update bets exist to look for the don't come odds bets. Yeah, so if I is not equal to 0, and this dot come odds bet sub I dot size is greater than 0. Return true. And then finally we're going to have the bet command that we're going to have to deal with here. So let's go ahead and look at this. I think we have a bet command function. So we have pass odds, pass, don't pass odds, don't pass, come, don't come. And so I found with the starts with, we need to put the longer version first. So in this case, we're going to say come odds. Well, actually, this is interesting. We might have some complexity here because we have 6 points we can place the odds on. And it may not be just the last number that was rolled. And so what do we want to do? We could do 6 separate checks here. You know, come odds dash 1. Well, not 1, maybe 4. You know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or let's see, 4, 5, 6. Those would be the potential options there. The other option is we make the point be a second parameter. Which if we do that, we'll need to have kind of yet another function. Because the function we do have, this handle bet, it only has this one parameter, this bet amount. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do another function here. Let's drop all this. Let's drop this. We'll say come odds. And handle bet. This is going to be handle odds bet. We're going to pass in come odds. Let's see, I think we can drop this. I'll just take a look and see if we can work this out here. It's just a little bit of a different pattern, so we'll just have to experiment a little bit. I'll start with the basic function here, and we'll just start building that up. Just say handle odds bet, and we said we're going to take in the username still. We're going to take in the type. We're taking in the bets. This is normally a map, but this will be an array here. I don't think we need the chuck function, so I'm going to drop that. And then here we have the actual bet message command, whatever you want to call it, the string that the user typed in. And so I think we can start with this. We can say that if it starts with I just want to test something here. What happens if I do a bet, like say craps bet, pass, and then I throw in a bunch of spaces and say 5 after that? Oh, looks like Twitch just deletes duplicate spaces. Let me check the log here. Yeah, so it looks like Twitch gets rid of multiple spaces. So I could probably make some assumptions about that. I'm just worried about how I'm going to do this same check here for the amount, because for the type, I'm going to have to pass in something like this, craps, odds, and then the point or whatever that is, like 4, and then we'll have the amount. And so this is going to have to check that it starts with craps, odds, the number, and a space. But it looks like Twitch chat is stripping those extra spaces. So I was just worried if I need to worry about extra spaces in this message, and it looks like I don't. Of course, there goes the bot. It's just going to run in the background there. Well, we got a point at 10. I'll bet on that as well. Craps bet pass odds of 50. Go get my 10 times odds there. See if I can lose my shirt. I had a pretty big loss while the stream was getting started. I was like around 600 before, and now I'm at 400 something. Alright, so we have, check that, it starts with type and a space. If it doesn't, you must specify a point. Oh, you must a point. I must a word. You must specify a point. And then what do? We parse it. Let's just look at this here. Instead of var amount, it's going to be var point. Parse int bet substring type.length trim times 100. No, we drop the times 100. If if point is not a number, unable to parse bet, go with that. And now we need to check the point here. Let's just grab one of my loop checks for come bets, wherever they are. Oh, I bet the process come bet points might do it. Yeah, here we go. We'll just grab this. I lost again. No. All right, so if it's not die total, it is point. Let's just grab that in my clipboard here. If point is greater than or equal to 4, and point is not 7, and point is less than or equal to 10, that's good. We need to kind of reverse this. So if point is less than 4, or point is equal to 7, or the point is greater than 10, then we have a problem. And we can say invalid point. So it needs to be greater than 4, not equal to 7, greater than or equal to 4, not equal to 7, and less than or equal to 10. If it doesn't do any of that, we just return. What other checks can we add in here? Bed is too small. We've kind of addressed that out of range error. Bed exceeds your available balance. No, that doesn't matter. So next I think we want to pass in, we want to call this next function. So we have our point. Next up is to call handle bet. So let's just grab one here, and we'll call it here. So this handle bet, so the username is going to be the same, is going to be come odds with a space followed by the point. That's our type. We have come odds bets, and point is our array accessor. Now we'll have to think through this check's going to be tough because I'm not sure what to do with this, because we set up this check function so it doesn't take a parameter. Let me just look up how bind works, and I might be able to do something. In fact, let me just look up how bind works. I'm just not sure at this point, so I'll say JavaScript bind. Just have an example of what this does here. Creates a new function that when called has this keyword set to the provided value with a given sequence of arguments preceding any provided when the new function is called. So it looks like we get to bind one thing. Let's see, I'm just going to go to this and test a couple things here. Let's go ahead and drop, how about, where's all of this? And we'll say var foo is equal to a new class. And how does this work? Can I just, yeah, I think we could say, function A. Whatever, no parameters. console.log. Hello. Just got to do some simple testing here to experiment. And now let's say foo.a. Just to see what we got going on here. So node, Twitch. Okay, excellent. So we've got our class and our call. And now let's see what next. So I want to have kind of an internal class thing. Let's say, how do I do this? Let's say I:42, comma. And now let's do B. We'll pass in a function here, or a called helper. Now we'll say helper. We'll say foo.b. Now if I run this should crash. Excellent. Unexpected identifier. Oh, we got an issue here. Need to add a comma. Helper is not a function, you're right, because I haven't passed it in. So let's go ahead and pass in foo.a. Just like that. All right. And now for a, we need to say console log test : plus our number, or plus our this.I. Excellent. So this is why we need to have our bind, because we don't have access to I in this case. And so what we could do is say helper, or a.bind foo. And now that should work again. Excellent. But let's say that we also wanted to have access to a point. You could say, I is this, but now we wanted to have, or j, we'll say j. And we want to be able to pass in I somehow. So let's take a look at this and see what we can do. Yeah, so I is still there, j is undefined. So my hope was, could I do something like, pass in foo, comma 5. Probably gonna fail, because, oh, nope, that's weird. Now let's do a console log on this, just so we can see what this is. I:42, A, function A, B, function B, I:42, J undefined, and so nothing has been done with this 5. And so my thought was we could do something like this and say, class is foo, and then J is 5. So now we're basically passing in a new object with foo continuing to be passed in, and then now we're passing in 5 for J. I think what will happen now is J will work, this.J will work, and this.I will not. Excellent, so that does seem to be working. And so now what we could say is this.class.I. Excellent, so that does work. So the process here is we can bind both. We'll just need to come up with a name for the craps table reference to the this object. Then we can pass in the point, so we can do that with bind. Let's just grab this whole block here and put that in my helper stuff here, so we have that available. That's going to be kind of the target of what we're doing. Let's go clean all this up. Bring our craps table back. And so yeah, we went to do all this because we have a function we're going to want here. It's not a point check, it's going to be like... Not sure yet. It's going to be like a come odds check. So let's just look at what that might look like. We have don't pass odds. And we'll just say, we'll just add a new one here. This is going to be come odds check. And we're passing in username and amount. And so what does this do? We're going to need access to a point. Well, let's go look up the odds check. So we have pass odds check. And we'll just grab all of this here. So this says you need a pass bet first. So we need to check in the appropriate come bet. And so we're going to pass in come bet. So let's see, if this dot come bets dot has username, you need a come bet on this point first. Wait, so we also need to do this come bet sub, and it's going to be this dot point. This is going to be really confusing logic here. Let's just add it up here. We'll say you must bind an object to this function as follows. And this will be come bets. The come bets array contain the line come bet or the odds bet containing the corresponding come bets for the odds bet. Then we also need to bind in a point for the odds bet. Just those two for the moment. We will see if anything else is necessary yet. Those might be the only two we need, so we'll see. Oh, we're also going to need the class, so let's also do class. Reference to the craps table object. Actually, we could call it table. Maybe table is a little more specific, or we could say craps table. There we go. All right, so instead of this user message, it's this dot craps table dot user message. Username, you need a come bet on this point first. Return false. We do a point check. I think we can drop point check. Yeah, so point check verifies that we have a point, which our first check already handles this. So this basically checks that you have a come bet on the specified point. So we don't need this. We do have max odds to confirm. Don't pass odds. Let's see, we could do a new function that says, let's just grab one here. Start a new one. We'll say call this max odds check. So max odds check. Now we're just going to replicate this here. Let's just grab this. So we're going to need the original bet, or the base bet. Call it base bet. Have a base bet amount, odds bet amount. How about base amount? We'll just call that base amount, odds amount, and we'll add a point. So if our max bet is equal to this, get pass bets got get username. So alright, so we can drop this and say base amount. Oh, you know what? This is going to be different between the two. This will work for odds. We'll have a separate don't pass function. So we'll start with just the odds, and then we'll move into a don't pass function if we need to. So if odds amount is greater than max bet, bet exceeds your maximum odds bet of splats. All right, let's take a look. So we've got our pass odds. We can do the same thing for don't pass odds, but I'm going to save that for later. So let's do this here. Right, so we have our com odds check. And so yeah, I decided I didn't want to replicate this work. And here we're probably going to want to bind the this reference, or the craps table reference, so we can say, how does that work? Let's just do another bind check and see what we can do here. So a function foo takes no parameters, but we do want to say something like, you know, console.log test:(a) or I. And I could say I'll say foo.bind. We'll say I:5. Let's see if that works. I is not defined. All right. Now it has to be this.I. Sorry, I'll add that. Test 5. Okay, great. So yeah, so that's how that would work. We do the bind inside, and then we call the function. So simple enough. So we want to call max odds check dot bind, and we want to pass in this dot craps table. Now we pass in username, the base amount. We could say var base amount is equal to this. Now we can pass in base amount. Actually, this needs to change a little bit, so let's look at this here. So we have we're going to want this dot combats this dot point dot get. And then if max odds check returns false, or returns, yeah, if that returns false, then we return false. And now we don't need to do this check. Yeah, let's leave that one comment for now. Alright, so I think this is correct. So we have our com odds check. We verify two things. We make sure that you have a bet on the corresponding point. You need to come bet on this point first. And then we say we need to do the max odds check. So let's go back to the Let's just add this guy here. Let's just copy and paste this so we know what we're dealing with. And here we go. So the point check is going to be a little weird. So we could say... just trying to figure out what to bind here and how this will work. So we could say, var, well, let's say var foo is equal to this dot come odds check. Dot bind, and we want to pass in a variable with craps table as this. The come_bets is going to be reference to the corresponding come_bets for the come odds bet. Oi. We could say base bets and come bets. Now we can say come bets is base bets and point is point. And I think that covers those three things, and so now let's go ahead and drop that. I'll keep it for the moment just in case we need it. Our foo equals that, blah blah blah. We would say handle bet, so it's come odds plus the point. We need to pass in the function. We want to pass in, or not the function, but the it's not come bets, it's odds bets. Odds bets with the base bets and the odds bets. We could say come bets. Come bets and come odds bets. And we'll go with that. Feels like I'm making this awfully complicated in the name of trying to eliminate duplicate code. So we'll see. It's getting a little unwieldy at this point. So with this, we'll say come bets. This would be come odds bets sub the points. And now this is going to be foo. Which I can now say check function. We'll try that. I hate this editor sometimes. Alright, so we make a binding for our chuck function. We bind the craps table instance to craps table. We bind the come bets that were passed in into come bet, so we bind the point that was parsed into point. So we pass that whole chuck function into here. And I think that'll work. think that's all I need to add, so let's do some testing. Let's go back over to here and stop this, restart this, see if it even runs. Nope. Let's take a look. This is line 142. Let's see, we've got a missing closing parentheses. There we go. Handle bet line 507. Unexpected identifier. Let's check a look at that. I've missed a comma there. Add that in. Com odds check. Unexpected identifier. Probably another missing comma. That's line 621. Yeah, another missing comma there. Comma, not an M. Okay, so that all worked. Let's go ahead and let's just roll the dice here. We'll set a point. Craps roll 2-2 to set a point of 4. Now say craps bet come of 5 just to get a point of 5. And I'll say craps roll 2-3. So now we've moved our come bet to the 5. So let's say craps bet come odds. Let's just try that and see if that complains. Cannot read property of starts with of undefined. Alright, that's line 484. Let's go bring that up and take a look. 484. Handle odds. Oh, I may have screwed up the call to handle odds. So let's do this here. Yeah, I've handle odds bet. We need username, which we pass in. We need the type come odds. We have two variables now. We have the come bets and then the come odds bets. So let's add in this dot come bets. This dot come odds bets. That should fix that. So as before, let's set a point of 4. So craps roll 2-2. Now let's bet a come bet. So craps bet come of 5. Let's set a come point of 5. Actually, let's just do a roll. So craps roll 2-3. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's 7 out here. We'll say craps roll 3-4. Let's start over because I screwed up. So let's set a new point of 4. So craps roll 2-2. Hello, Marky G 6000. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing a little testing here, but you're welcome to play with it while I work with it and see if you can break it as well. Always happy to see if someone else can break it. So I've established a point of 2, so now I need a... Actually, I could test this right away. I could say craps bet come odds. I must specify a point. So I'll say craps bet come odds. Let's give it a weird point. Kappa. And a little parse bet. Say craps. Now see, I don't like that phrasing. I think at this point I might want to say unable to parse. Here is the point. Unable to parse point. And able to parse amount. And able to parse die values. Yeah, let's give that a try. I think that'll work a little bit better here. So I'll say craps, bet, come odds. We could just test this right away. Come odds 5. Oh, you must specify an amount. Okay, something's weird there. Let's try this again. Craps, bet, come odds with no point. RKG 6000, I see you're trying to use the craps roll command. Unfortunately, that is an admin only command, so that's one of the few things you will not be able to use. Assuming the code is working correctly. It's always possible there is a bug. This is a craps roll, or craps bet, come odds. So I'm a specify point, so that looks good. Say craps bet, come odds, kappa. Unable to parse points. Okay, craps, let's see, craps bet, come odds. Let's give it a point that is nonsensical, like say 7. Invalid point. So craps bet, come odds. 3 is also an invalid point, and craps bet, come odds. 11 is also an invalid point. But say 4 is a good one, so say craps bet, come odds of 4. So let's double check what's going on here. So we've passed all of these initial checks. You must specify a point, we've checked. Unable to parse point, we've checked. Invalid point, we've checked. Now we've created this check function, and now we're calling handle bet. So handle bet is now complaining you must specify an amount. So let's specify an amount. Say craps bet, come odds 4, and we'll say this again. Unable to parse amount. Craps bet, come odds. Let's see, 4 0. Should be an invalid amount, or too small. Bet is too small. Craps bet, come odds 1,000. Actually, it needs to be 5, 4, and 1,000. That exceeds your maximum or available balance of 408, and that should be correct. Let's check that. Excellent. What else? Let's see. You must specify an amount. Unable to parse amount. I think we've checked both of those. Bet is too small. Yep, we've done that. Bet exceeds your available balance of that. There's all. You've already placed this bet, which I probably can't check that yet. But there's the check function. So now let's go to the check function for the come odds check. So we need a come bet on the point first. So say craps bet come odds. I'll give it a valid 0.4. A valid amount 5. Yep, there is the error, and Marky G found that as well. You need a come bet on this point first. So basically, we need to have a come bet. So to do that, you can say craps bet. I think we don't have a point yet. If I say bet come of 5, it should complain and say you need a point. So let's just establish a point. We'll say craps roll 2 2 to get a point of 4. And now we can place a come bet. So craps bet come of 5. I'll give you a sec if you want to make that come bet yourself as well, Marky G. Yeah, now let's establish a point of 5. So I'll say craps roll 2, 3 to establish a point of 5. And so now I should be able to say craps bet come odds. We'll say the point is 5. And the amount, oh, actually, I want to check the max amount. Let's just exceed that, we'll say 500. Bet exceeds our available balance of 403. Okay, well, let's go craps bet come odds 5. And we'll say 200. Did something break? Let's take a look here. Something broke. Cannot read property of bind undefined. Huh. Let's go take a look at that and see what's going on. So that's line 130. No, that can't be it. Line 630, my bad. Is that where we're at, or is it somewhere else? Line 630, column 33. Oh, here we go. So this dot max odds check. Oh, it needs to be this dot craps table dot max odds check. That should fix that. So let's go give that another try. So I could simplify some of this a little bit here. And again, we will start with a point of 4. So I will use my admin god powers to force a point of 4. And now I will place my own come bet, say craps bet come of 5. And now I want to move that come bet to a point of 5. So I'll say craps roll 2, 3 to establish a come point of 5. And now I should be able to say craps bet come odds, points of 5 and 200. Bet exceeds your maximum odds bet of 50. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, that looks good. Let's make sure that it also works with the other way. So craps bet come odds of 6. And we'll say 10. You know, the amount doesn't really matter there. You need a come bet on this point first. So I could say craps bet come odds point of 5 and 50. Unrecognized bet. Oops, because I duplicated craps. Or I duplicated bet, so we'll say craps bet come odds point of 5. Oh, dang it. It rolled already before I was able to place the bet. So I'm going to place a new bet here at this point. So we'll say the craps bet come bet of 5. Let's establish a new come bet of on a point of 5. So craps roll 2, 3. And let's try this again. We'll say craps bet come odds on the point of 5 for 50. Did we crash it again? Doesn't look like we crashed it, but it didn't respond to that. Craps, that was weird. Craps bet come odds 550. What is going on? Craps bet. Something is going on here. Let's just do a console.log. Say here. Base amount is base. Just not sure what's going on. Let's give this another try. So for the valid points are 4, 5, 6, and 8, 9, 10. So anything less than 4 and greater than 10 will not work, and 7 will not work either. So let's give this another try, see if I can figure out what is going wrong here. So let's establish a point of 4, craps roll 2, 2. Use my admin god powers to establish a point of 4. As a craps bet come of 5. Let's do another roll to move that to the point of 5. There's a craps bet come odds point of 550. So it should be a perfectly valid bet. And we say here, base amount is 500. But something is not happening here. Just add in some more debugging stuff. Console.log false. Console.log true. Hey, I see you finally managed to make a bet there, Markage. Nice work. Although, unfortunately, in order to test this, I need to stop and restart the bot here. So I'm going to go do that real fast. Let's take a look. So as before, I will set a point of 4. So craps roll 2, 2 to establish a point of 4. Now I will place a come bet, so craps bet come of 5. And now I need to move that bet to the point of 5. So I'll say craps roll 2, 3. Now I should be able to say craps bet come odds point of 550. Alright, so we're returning false. Why are we returning false? Let's check max odds check here. We need a return true at the end of this. That would explain it. I wasn't aware that JavaScript was a default of false if you return nothing. Because I didn't really think about it. So that's what was missing. I needed the return true there. Let's go drop all this debugging stuff. Let's go ahead and drop that. Alright, let's try this one more time, and it will hopefully work this time. We'll have to bounce the bot one more time. Establish a point of 4, so craps roll 2, 2. There's a craps bet come 5. So place a $5 come bet $5 come bet. Let's move that come bet to the 5. So craps roll 2, 3. And now I should be able to say craps bet come odds points of 5, 50. Excellent. Now let's place that one more time and make sure that the duplicate check also works here. So craps bet come odds 550. You've already made this bet. Excellent. And so I think all the logic for making the come odds bet is in place. What's missing now is actually processing those bets when they win or lose. So I'm going to leave the bot running. The odds bet, the come odds bet, is not going to function properly because I'm still working on that. But all the other bets that are mentioned in the help, if you do craps help, you will get our help guide. I'm going to bring that up on my browser here so we can show it. And all the bets listed here do work. So we have the pass bet works, the pass odds work, don't pass odds, and the come bet all work. The only one that doesn't work yet is the come odds because I'm still working on that one, but all these others should work just fine. And so let's take a look. Just going to go through our die rolling logic and see how we handle processing bets. So this is where we process our roll. We come up with our die total, we print out certain things like what our point is, what our roll is. We process our come bets, and that's going to be where we want to be. So let's go to process come bets. Should be here. So we handle 7 out for come bet points. Alright, so if we roll a 7, all of the come bets lose. And so in this case, the come odds bets will similarly lose. So come odds bets lose on a 7 out. If we have a winner, this is a winner with a 7 or 11. That only affects the base bet. It won't affect any of the odds. Check to see if we have a come bet loser. And again, that doesn't affect any of the odds. Then we have come bet, process come bet point. Oops. Look for a process come bet point. Alright, so if die total is greater than or equal to 4, and it's not 7, and it's less than 10, less than or equal to 10, then we have a point that we're processing. So if we hit the number, yeah, so we've won the bets where the number was hit. So we'll say, this is line 233. I'm just going to want to copy and paste a similar line for the odds bet from down below. Just going to be 1 second to find that here. Yeah, let's take that and go to line 233. Alright, so we say going to be this, com odds bets of die total. This pass odds 1 dot bind. Let's take a look at pass odds 1. Pass odds 1 and don't pass odds 1. Just look at their names here for this. Because I'm going to use this for, and I'm going to stop the bot. The bot's just going to run indefinitely because I have a bet that I can't resolve. No reason to let that keep running. So this is going to be used for no longer just the pass line odds, but the come odds as well. Now let's see, we could call it light odds 1 for the light side. Everyone else calls that don't pass. Nah, so I think that works. So then we can go with the dark odds 1. So let's get this on my clipboard and go with dark odds 1. So that. I didn't line these up. I should just line these up like I did the others. And that's it. We only have one dark odds 1. Dark odds 1. And then how about light odds 1? Just 3 times. Okay, that makes sense because we haven't added in the loss, or we haven't added in the don't come odds yet. So we'll start with just this. We'll say who calls light odds 1. And I basically want to pass in the point. So we have the bet. Say point, comma bet. Let's go look for who calls light odds 1. And we want to pass in point, comma bet. In fact, do I even need to do the bind anymore? I do. Oh no. Alright, undo that. Can't pass in the point because this function is called with one context where we only pass in bet. That's the only option. So I need to do something similar to what I did down below. So we're line 180. And let's just try this here. You must bind an object to this function as follows. We have craps table, reference to the craps table object. Now point to the point for the odds. So we have this dot point, and now we say this dot craps table dot that. Now let's look up who calls light odds 1. So we need to bind craps table colon this and point colon die total. Unfortunately, we have to wrap that. Oh, and we can drop this. Actually, let's see if we can get away with that now. Just barely fit. I think I like that. Let's undo that. Lining stuff up makes sense when it's relatively close, but it doesn't make sense when it is super far away, like this here. So I'm just going to have kind of these separate lines here like that. Just continue to look for light odds 1. Yeah, so we need something very similar here. We're going to bind in, it's actually going to be craps table colon this, comma point colon this dot point. And as before, this is nice and lengthy, so let's pull that out. Let's reset everything else here. Let's see, well, we can line these items up because they're nice and very similar. And this is long enough, I'm just going to leave that separate out there. So let's check for more instances of light odds 1. So we bind craps table, this point die total. Then we do bind craps table this, and point is this dot point. Okay, I think that is enough to satisfy winning and losing that. Let's go ahead and test a couple of things here. First, I'm going to test that the basic odds still works, because I've made some small refactorings there, and it's possible that I broke that. So we'll start with that and just see where we go from there. Looks like I broke something else. This is line 238. I'm missing a closing brace. And now I'm finding out why it makes sense to pull this down, because now it's just too lengthy to do on one line anyway, so we'll just pull that down. And try that again. Line 331, probably something similar. I probably missed the closing parentheses. Or closing brace. Yep, I did again. So I add that. This is still small enough it could fit on one line, so I'll leave it there. Just barely small enough. And try again. Okay, so we need a pass line bet. Let's just go ahead and do that here. Okay, craps bet pass line of 5. Now let's establish a point of 4, so craps roll 2-2. Light odds 1 is not defined. Really? Where are we? This is line 239. This. Dot lights odd 1 dot bind. Let's just keep checking. Yeah, looks good so far, so we'll try this one more time. So say craps bet pass of 5. Now we'll say craps roll 2-2 to establish a point of 4. Now let's do craps odds, or say pass odds. Pass odds of 50. Oops, craps bet. Pass odds of 50. And now let's win. Say craps roll 2-2. Should win 105. Excellent. Now let's try another point. Let's say 8. So we'll say craps bet pass 5. Craps roll 4-4 for a point of 8. Craps bet pass odds of 50. I should win 65 out of this. We'll say craps roll 4-4 and I should win 65. Okay, great. That all seems to be working. So now we need to test the odds for the come bet instead. So let's say, let's establish a point of 4. So craps roll 2-2 for a point of 4. Now say craps bet come of 5. So I place a $5 come bet. Let's move that to the 8. So craps roll 4. Actually, not the 8. Let's move that to the 10. So 5-5. Actually, the 8 would have been better. Now let's go 7 all this out. Say craps roll 3-4. I want to try a different multiplier on this. So let's establish a point of 4. So craps roll 2-2. Craps bet come of 5. Now let's move that to the 8. So we'll say craps roll 4-4. So that come bet is moved to the 8. Now craps bet come odds on the 8 of 50. So bet made for that. Now let's say we have a point of 4. Let's just hit the 8. So say craps roll 4-4. And I should get paid 65 for this. Excellent. Let me check my balance. I should have no other bets. So if I do another 8, so craps roll 4-4 should do nothing. Now let's do a craps bet come of 5, and we'll put that on the 9 now. So craps roll 4-5. Craps bet come odds of 50. Oops, craps bet come odds On the 9 for 50. Now let's actually do a winner. We'll say craps roll 2-2 to force us to have no points. And now let's say craps roll 4-4 so that we hit our combat and our combat point. This should be worth, what is it, 50, 2/3, 75, should be worth 80, I think. Actually, it's no on 9. We're not on the 8 any longer. We're on the 9. So let's finish this. Say craps roll 4-4. So we cleared that out. Now let's do a craps roll 4-5. This should be worth 80. Excellent. So that does seem to be working right now. While we're here, let's look up the documentation. So we've come, let's add in come odds point. And I think that is enough. I may want to clean up this guide at some point, but I think that is enough to get the point across. So let's go take a look at our code. So we've made significant changes to craps table. We've made a couple of changes to guide, or one change to guide. Now let's take a look. Alright, so I've added our new sparse array for come odds bets. And so we've added initialization for it. So we initialize everything. We initialize all the points. So 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, everything but 0. And so here for checking available balances, we're iterating through all the come bets, but here we also need to skip index 0. So we have this, if I is not equal to 0, then we add in the odds bets. So now we have light odds 1. You must bind an object to this function as follows. Craps table reference to the craps table object, and point the point for the odds. We've also renamed dark odds 1 just to have those functions be similarly named. Process bets, we pass in. See, this is a new one, so this is what a winner. Yeah, so we must have hit the point, so the come bets win, and the odds bets win for that die total. This must be a loser. This must be if we 7'd out. So here the odds bet, the come odds bets have lost. The come is also lost, but the don't come has won. What is this? This is if the point was made. So I think this is talking about the pass line bets now. We renamed pass odds 1 to light odds 1, and we also had to add in this binding mechanic. And that line got long enough that I just pulled that down and didn't line up things on it any longer. And the point was made, yay! And let's see, what happened here? Oh yeah, so I renamed the function from dpass odds 1 to dark odds 1. We haven't done the binding yet. We'll do that when we do our next major refactoring, but we did do the rename just to have that be consistent. What else? This is to determine if we still have bets. So I've added in a check on come odds bets. We're iterating over all the indexes, but we skip index 0 because index 0 is no point, and we can't have a no point odds bet. We've changed some minor messages here. Everything else was pretty generic, and now I'm changing them to be more specific. So unable to parse die values here. This reminds me, I do want to add in a better error handling for admin functions. Someone was in chat earlier attempted to run the admin functions, the roll command specifically, and the error wasn't so great. It kept saying invalid command. It might be better if it said you are not authorized to run this command or something new. I just wanted to think about that and make it more clear that, hey, that's a special command that only the administrator can run. What else? So we've added this this new check for come odds. So if your bet command starts with come odds, we call handle odds bet. We had a special function because we have this this additional parameter, this point parameter that gets added in. So we have to parse that to just extra special handling for odds bets. So we have handle odds bet. So we make sure it starts with a type. So type is come odds. We make sure it starts with the type and a space. If you don't do that, it complains you must specify a point. Then we try to parse the point. If it is not a number, we say unable to parse point. And so this is one of these kind of messaging things that we changed. We made this more specific here, and we made this more specific here. Because previously it said unable to parse bet, and it's like, well, we have the point and the amount, and so clarifying that this means point, and down below we'll have amount. Here it is down here. So unable to parse point. Then we check that it's a valid point. If the point is less than 4, or if it is 7, or if it is greater than 10, that's an invalid point. And so we just complain invalid points. Then we have this new check function, this come odds check, and it's kind of a complex function. Because of how it's called, we have limited parameters we can pass to it, and so to get around that, we bind a bunch of extra stuff. We still get access to the craps table, so we bind the this reference, the craps table reference, to craps table. Then we bind the comebets array into comebets, then bind the point into point. Then we pass this whole function, this check function, into this. And so now we call handle bet. Handle bet is the same function we've been using for all of our other bets. So we've done all of our pre-processing here. And now we call handle bet to handle the rest of it. Let's see, so this is handle bet. The only change here is we've made this this unable to parse bet more specific, unable to parse amount. Then we've done a couple of changes down here. We've added in a new function, max odds check, because we had some duplicate logic that was dealing with well, this was run as part of the pass line odds, and originally, because you can see pass odds check, this is kind of what it was originally, was checking your pass line odds. And I'm also using it to check the comebet odds. So I refactored the duplicate code into a new function called max odds check takes username, a base amount, and odds amount, computes the max bet, or yeah, the max bet based on your base amount and your max odds, your configured max odds. If it's greater, it complains that you exceeds your maximum odds bet of max bet. And return false at the very end. Then we've refactored pass odds check to basically be the same thing it was before, except this time you only have this one check. You need to have a pass bet first, otherwise it just then it calls max odds check, this function we wrote up above, to handle all the other logic. Handle the check for the maximum bet. Let's see, then we have our new function, come odds check. This one is more complicated. We again have to bind a few things to this because we're limited into what parameters we're able to pass in. So we bind craps table so that we have a reference to the craps table object. We bind come bets. This is the come bets array containing the corresponding come bets for the come odds bet. And then we pass in the point. So those are all the things we need to do this check. So we do our initial check is to make sure that you have a come bet on this point first. And then we call max odds check, so that function I just went over earlier. If all this looks good, we return true. And finally, we've added the documentation to our guide to add a come odds bet to our craps table guide. And I think that's pretty good here. Let's take a look at the log. Add support for don't come bet, add support for come bet, for don't pass. Let's say add support for come odds bet. Add support for come odds bet. Let's go ahead and commit that. And we've updated our guide, so let's go ahead and push this so that our guide shows up with the new updated version. That'll give us a chance to verify the guide looks good as well. Always good to just make sure I haven't screwed up the formatting there. This is here we have come odds point. Come odds on the specified point. And that means that this item, the come odds, is now complete. So let's move on and look at better air handling for the admin functions. This is really for the roll command. Let's go look at that real fast here. We have kind of a process command. Yeah, so here we go. So we have kind of three checks here. We have, does it start with the roll command? Are you the owner? And is debug enabled? And so what I might want to do is just move these to the roll command. Now just do some basic checks here. So let's go ahead and drop. We'll say, we'll just do only this first check. If command starts with roll, we don't need a compound statement any longer. This will actually make this simpler, so that's actually a nice benefit. So if command starts with roll, this dot roll command, and now we need to do checks for this. So if, now we don't need the parentheses there, if username dot two lowercase is equal to the owner, we want to say if it's not equal, we want to complain. authorized to use this command. Nice and simple. And now let's add in a new check here. Say if config.debug, so if debug is not enabled, this command is not available when debugging. I say, what do we call it in our configuration? You must enable debug in your configuration to use this command. So nice and basic. First, the owner has to match, and second, debug has to be enabled. And so let's just do a couple of tests here. Let's go disable debug. And that should cause it to complain for me. So let's go test that and see what that says here. Oops, unencrypted token this. Line 390. Oh, I missed a closing parentheses. So let's go give this a try. We'll say, oops, let's go back to this window and say, craps roll. You must enable debug in your configuration to use this command. Now let's simplify that. That's a little lengthy. Let's just say, you must enable debug. Do this. We say quote, quote. And try that one more time. Craps roll. You must enable debug to use this command. Excellent. And now if I go to stream elements, let's go to my dashboard and set up a new command or update my test command. Get past stream elements, advertise and other stuff. Now, so in this case, this will be craps roll. Let's try a test and see what this does. You are not authorized to use this command. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and enable debug and try this all again. So my documentation says debugging features. Let's just do that. We'll say you must be enable debugging to use this command. We'll start with that, see what that looks like. So we say test, so stream element should get its error, you are not authorized. And then let me try craps roll. You must enable debugging to use this command. In fact, we can make this even simpler. We could say yeah, we could say enable debugging to use this command. We'll go with that. Enable debugging to use this command. Excellent. So now let's enable debugging and see if this still works here. Now let's double check our config template. This should say debug is false. Excellent. So that all looks good. Let's try this again and make sure that I'm able to call it. Well, first let's make sure that stream elements is not. Stream elements should still be not authorized. Not authorized, and then if I say craps roll. Alright, so we do a 7. We've won if we had a bet. A craps bet pass line of 5. Craps roll. Point of 6. Well, let's do craps bet pass line of 50 on that. Actually, no, pass odds of 50 on that. And force a couple more rolls. Craps roll. We won. Well, the comeback would win. Let's roll a few more times. See if this, if we can get a winner here with a random die roll. Nope, we 7'd out. We lost. We lost $55. What's my balance? My balance is probably getting pretty low here. Oh, apparently I've added to it with some testing. Alright, so let's take a look at our code. I think we're ready to commit here. Yeah, so we simplified how we call the roll command function. We used to have all these checks as part of this. We've moved them down below, and we've added better error handling. So we actually give them a message as to why it's not working, rather than what the person earlier saw, which was unrecognized command, which is a little weird. As here it actually gives you the exact reason why it's not working. You're not authorized, or you need to enable debugging. Add a better error handling for when you cannot use the roll command. And actually, I like to do things in the present tense. So we'll say add better handling for when you cannot use the roll command. I think that looks good. So let's move that up here. And go ahead and commit that. So we've got just that one change. Get add and get commit. I'm going to use the editor because I've got some double quotes in here. It's just easier to use the editor for that. Let's go ahead and push that to Git. Alright folks, I think I'm going to call it a stream here. I'm just a little wiped out today. Not enough sleep last night. And it's tough for me to continue going and be super active and engaged. And so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I've got a couple of good things done. This is a minor change. We've increased the default rolling delay back to 60. I found that 30 was just a little too short for my testing, and so I think it's probably too short for people using the bot casually. We'll try 60 for a while. We may increase that even further during actual usage. We've also added support for the come odds bet. That was a pretty substantial change. We had to do some refactoring of some of those complex functions to support that, but I think that all works. We ended with a rather simple change to add in better handling for when you cannot use the roll command. So the remaining craps bets, we have don't come odds. That's the next one I'm going to add. I'll probably work on that. Those are my next stream. I'll work on that on Tuesday, February 26th. So look forward to that. I will add that. Then we have place to lose, buy lay, big 6 and 8, podways, proposition, field, fire, and all these kind of specialized bets, and hopping bets. And even the hopping bets might be a form of proposition bets. I'll need to research some of that a little bit more to know for sure. Yeah, I think that's good. And then the kind of more feature stuff allow players to serve as the bank, add ability to remove bets, add ability to turn bets on and off. One of the things you may have noticed today is that the come odds bets were working even if the overall table did not have a point. Normally in a casino, they turn your come odds bets off. Now you can always choose to have them on, or working, I guess is the correct phrase, but normally they turn those off. And so I've added ability to turn bets on and off so that you can choose whether you want those on and off. And so that's got to be some future work I will work on as well. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up here. As I said, my next stream is Tuesday, February 26th at 2 p.m. in my local time zone, the United States Pacific time zone, UTC -8, so just be mindful of that for your local time zone conversions. I will leave the bot running in chat for a little bit, so if you want to continue to poke at it for a few minutes, you can do so. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. But also, if you want to look at the code is open source and available on my GitHub account, github.com/QTpixel/Twitch The latest code from today has been pushed there. So again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.